Do you guys have any names in mind for the April 30th show? Maybe Lesnar, Velasquez, GSP, any of those guys?
Not yet. We're still too early out. A lot of fights are going to happen before then, so we'll see what happens. And everybody, the big question everybody's asking, what about George St. Pierre? Is George St. Pierre coming? I'm of the belief that, listen, Canada is the mecca for mixed martial arts. We don't have to come to Canada with George St. Pierre. We'll see what happens on Saturday, and I'm sure not only George, but every other fighter on the roster is going to want to fight in this Toronto card. You want Velasquez? All right.
Hi.
What's up? How are you?
Pryor for Conestoga College. I have a question. Who do you think should be held accountable for the controversial decisions, and what are you guys going to do to fix that? Like we've seen in NAMFAN.
Judging, it's terrible. You hear me bitching about it just as much as anybody else. There's nothing we can do. We're overseen by the athletic commissions, and they pick the judges, the referees, and it's what I think the positive thing that came out of. First of all, I hate to see kids work as hard as this kid did, go in and put on a great performance, and then lose the fight. You can have never watched a fight in your entire life, and you know who won that fight. That's how bad it is. But one of the things that I think, a positive that came out of Saturday was I think a lot of people woke up that make these decisions and saw that there really is a problem with the judging. So hopefully that does it. Believe me, when I tell you this, everybody wants to point at me like I'm the bad guy, like I make the decisions on who wins and who loses. I don't. When I tell you I have no power whatsoever with these guys, I actually think that they do things to piss me off, okay? Like keeping Mazzagatti in there. This guy shouldn't even be watching MMA, let alone reffing it, all right? So I'm hoping that some positives come out of Saturday in that, they realize now that there's a big problem with the judging and reffing. Thank you.
What's up, Dan?
How are you?
Good. I got a two-part question, basically.
Yep.
My first question is, there's a fan expo obviously coming up in Toronto, and you guys usually let in people to the Hall of Fame at the fan expos I've seen in history. Is there any chance that Tito Ortiz will be let into the Hall of Fame at any time?
Yeah, we'll see what happens with Tito. I think there's guys that are deserving to be in the Hall of Fame before he does, but not to say that he won't. We'll see what happens.
My second question is, I don't want to be that guy, but I think I'm going to be that guy. I'm headed up to Montreal with my girlfriend on Saturday night for the main event. Any chance I can sit next to you or the ring girls or anybody with my girlfriend?
You are that guy.
The first of about 5,000 to ask that question.
Well, this guy's smart because he knows how these things usually go. The first guy to ask me usually gets what he wants. Done. Yes, you can. So, where is... why don't you... Tom isn't here today, so anybody that wants to kill me, go right ahead. Come over here and talk to Kay House. She'll take care of it. All right, brother.
Now there's
K-How.
Now there's a classic example of you'll never get the order unless you ask for it. We got a question upstairs.
Oh yeah? Okay.
Hey Dana, I was wondering if you've ever missed a fight and what would make you miss one?
I've never missed a fight in 10 years. I've been to every fight we've ever done, no matter where it was, or I'm not missing any fights. No, it won't happen. We talk about it all the time. As we continue to expand and grow and go into all these different markets, and there might be a day when there's a fight happening in the United States or Canada and a fight happening over in Germany or some other place, that day might come, but until it does, I'm at every fight. I don't miss them.
Nice.
Hi, Mr. White.
How are you doing?
First of all, I want to thank you for keeping it real.
Thank you.
UFC.
Thank you.
I have a three-part question, actually. First of all, when can we expect to see UFC gym in Toronto?
Actually, great question. We actually literally last week just came up with a deal for some property up in Montreal. The first UFC gym will be in Montreal. So Montreal keeps getting everything first.
We'll have the second
Thank
UFC
you.
gym
I knew
in
that
Toronto.
would be a popular one here. So when it's coming to Toronto, I don't know.
All right. I'm not going to say the F word, but when can we see Alistair Overeem in the UFC?
Alistair Overeem? Why would you say the F word before you said Alistair Overeem? Or did you say you didn't want to hear me say the F word?
No, the Fedor word.
Oh, the Fedor word. Oh, immediately you know what I thought of. Here's the crazy thing about Alistair Overeem that how many people here are hardcore fans today? Okay. Maybe we can have a little debate here today and we can talk about this and you guys can walk me through this. Now, Alistair Overeem hasn't beat anybody, okay? And the guy has been over there doing K1, which is a real cool name for kickboxing, okay? Not mixed martial arts. He hasn't defended his title over here in his organization for a long time. What in the hell makes you people think this guy should be up in the top 10? He's a big guy, and he's punching people, you know, in K1, but this is mixed martial arts. He hasn't accomplished anything to be considered, you know, top 10.
But he's fought the who's who in Pride, and that was MMA rules.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. You realize we've owned Pride for like over 3 years now, and nobody's fought in Pride in a long time. You know, my philosophy is you have to give people credit for what they've done lately in sports and in the fight business, you know. Guess what? Muhammad Ali beat a lot of guys back in the 70s and 80s. Is he still the best in the world? No, this guy hasn't fought in mixed martial arts in a long time. And the whole, we can use the F word here. The Fedor thing is, I tried to negotiate with Fedor forever. I flew to some crazy island out in the middle of nowhere to try to do a deal with this guy to get him to fight. He doesn't want to fight. He's not even fighting in Strikeforce. Do you people not realize this? This guy has a contract with this organization, and he will not fight. And when he does fight, he fights people that don't matter. I feel like I'm a fucking alien with this thing. Like I'm the only guy in the world that gets this. Am I not the only guy? I mean, come on. Or do you guys just love to bust my balls that much? I don't get it. I don't understand the whole Fedor Alistair thing. You know, listen, Alistair Overeem, I like this guy. I've known him for a long time. You meet him, he's the nicest guy in the world. When he starts fighting mixed martial arts again, sure, and he's out of his contract, we'd love to talk to him and have him come over here. And if he loses coming into the UFC, you guys would say, oh, we told you so, or you guys won't give a shit when he comes to the UFC.
All right, now
did I answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
The third part is, actually it's an idea I had and wanted to share with you. What do you think about an honor bonus or a sportsmanship bonus for fighters like Shogun, who didn't go for the overkill against Machida in the second fight, or Nate Marquardt against Damian Maia?
Well,
he saw the guy knocked out, he didn't go for it.
Well, I don't think we have to have those kind of bonuses in the UFC. I mean, these guys have great sportsmanship. You know, they treat each other with respect. You're always going to have the animosity or being fired up leading into a fight, but we don't ever have to worry about that kind of stuff in the UFC. You know, we actually have to have aggressive bonuses like knockout of the night and submission and finish bonuses. But I think all these guys display good sportsmanship. You'll always have an incident where somebody doesn't. But even when bad things happen, these guys go up and shake each other's hands and apologize.
True. Thank you, sir.
Cool. Thank you. We going back up here or no? No? Okay.
Hi, Dana.
Hi. How are you?
Good. I have a couple questions, some for me and some for my boyfriend. He's in Cyprus right now.
Okay.
One of the questions was why, I know the whole Fedor thing, but why haven't you signed his brother?
His brother?
Alexander, yeah.
Like,
have you considered it?
No, yeah, I think at one time his brother was considered. Listen, we go after guys that we consider to be, you know, the best or the up and coming guys out there. I mean, the problem with dealing with you know, I always call them the crazy Russians. Is these guys? I can't do a deal with his brother. You know, how am I going to do it? We can't deal with these guys. They're under contract with Strikeforce, and these guys can't deal with them. They can't even get them to fight. You know, it's one of those weird situations where it looks like, you know, I'm always the guy taking the heat for him not fighting. He's not even fighting in the organization he's contracted to fight in. You know?
Also, have you ever considered doing like UFC sort of tournaments?
What kind of tournaments?
Just the different kind of weight classes or just...
No, that'll never happen. The old class where different weight classes fight each other, that will never happen ever again. And it shouldn't happen. The reality is, you know, this is a real sport. And you know, there's safety things that are in place. A guy who, I'll give you another example. We'll go back to Pride. Kazushi Sakuraba. How many hardcore fans know who Kazushi Sakuraba is? And tell me if I'm wrong, possibly one of the best 170-pounders ever. The guy was incredibly talented, incredibly tough. You know, the Japanese had him fighting heavyweights and all these other guys, and he got busted up, and his career ended earlier than it should have, and he never a lot of the things for me, it's about legacy. Going down in history as one of the greatest fighters ever. And Kazushi Sakuraba never had the opportunity to be called one of the greatest. First of all, he fought at 185 when he should have been fighting at 170, and he always fought guys who were way bigger than him. I mean, this guy fought Vanderlei Silva when Vanderlei Silva was at his peak. You know, it'd be like, it makes no sense. Guys have to fight in their own weight classes. You'll see tournaments, and we've done tournaments before in different weight divisions where guys, you know, lead up to a big title fight, but never out of weight classes.
This guy asked for tickets from Montreal, but how about in April? My boyfriend comes back in February, and he's a huge Ultimate Fighter. He's a huge Ultimate Fighter. U.F.C. He watches all your podcasts. Everything.
Here's the deal. When I come back, I guarantee you, when I come back here to Toronto, getting ready for that fight, I'm going to be tweeting tickets, and I'll be handing tickets out to a lot of people. So, follow me on Twitter, and believe me,
I'll be stalking you on Twitter.
Perfect.
All right. Thank you.
Perfect. All right.
Question upstairs.
Hi. Can we expect a rematch between Carwin and Lesnar in 2011?
Between Carwin and Lesnar?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I don't know how that's going to go. You know, we'll see what happens. Brock's been hunting since his last fight, and he and I haven't talked at all. So when he gets back, we're going to figure out what's next for him. And Shane Carwin just had surgery. So we'll see how it plays out. Listen, there's a lot of interesting fights in the heavyweight division. We'll see what happens.
Thank you.
But I would have to imagine, yes, those two will probably fight again. Thank you.
Hi, Dana. My name is Andrew Silveraja. It's an honor to meet you.
You too. Thank you.
I have 2 questions. Would you consider, like, if Strikeforce were to talk to you, would you consider Strikeforce champs versus U.F.C. champs?
No.
You would never?
No.
Well, why is that?
Well, I'm sitting here saying that I think that they're, first of all, again, anybody who wants to disagree with me here today, feel free to step up and disagree. I'd love to debate with you guys and talk about it. Let's work this thing out, okay? These guys can't get their own guys to fight. They're completely disorganized. Their divisions aren't even deep enough, you know, and the level of the quality of fights that are going on there aren't at the same level. Why would I have one of these guys come in? And what is Strikeforce? They put on these events. They did the Ultimate Fighter finale. Did over 2 million viewers. They did less than 300,000 viewers for that fight. You know, it makes no sense.
And if Paul Daly were to become champ at 170, would you consider him?
Ever. He'll never come back ever. Ever. And I had a guy boo to the guy who booed. Let me tell you what, guy who booed. We were just talking about sportsmanship in the sport. And listen, there's lots of things. I've been in situations before where we've been up there at the weigh-ins. Guys push each other. Guys are getting in each other's faces. All this stuff. There's this, there's this stuff that's built up before things. Guys never put their hands on each other. You know, they don't punch each other or hit each other before the fights, okay? Now, you go in there and you hate a guy, you don't like him, whatever the bad blood is. You have 15 minutes to punch, kick, knee, elbow, slam, try to submit, do whatever you want to do to this guy, okay? Never, ever is it acceptable to punch a guy in the face after the fight. It's cowardice. It's just, to me, it's absolutely disgusting. You're a thug, okay? And you know, there's been instances where I've said, this guy's never coming back, and, you know, he comes back, and, you know, we start talking, and, you know, I end up letting him back. I'm telling you right now, Paul Daly will never, ever be back in the UFC, ever.
And also, I have one more.
He's still pissed.
I have one more request. I know Wanderlei was supposed to fight early 2011. Is it possible you can get Wanderlei to fight on the Toronto card?
Yeah, that is a possibility. Yeah, that is a possibility that he could be in Toronto. Listen, I'm not kidding, man. Everybody knows how big it is in Toronto and in Canada as a whole. And I was just saying, and I'm not kissing your ass, I'm being honest. I love Toronto, man. I love coming here. I love the hotels. Look at this place. There's nothing like this unless it's like a sports book in Las Vegas. This is a sports bar. This place is incredible. This place is beautiful. There's so many cool things to do. The people here are awesome, except the guy that booed. And I actually enjoy the media here. I have a good time in Toronto. I love it here, and all the other guys feel the same way. Every fighter on the UFC roster is going to want to fight in Toronto, believe me.